Hey guys, in today's video wait, the camera's backwards. Cameraman, camera backwards. Turn around. Yes, thank you. Okay, zoom into me now. Zoom into me. Yep, keep zooming in. Yeah, that's enough. Yep, that's enough. Anyway, Souls RNG is a simple game where you roll, get auras from easy as common to insanely rare auras, and show them off to other players. Now, to say that Souls RNG hasn't had its issues is an understatement. Now, before we talk about the current issues, let's talk about some of the old drama. First off, we need to talk about the delay in eras. Era 9 was released on September 13, 2024. Era 9 also took over 2 months to be released. Now, what was so unique about this era? We got a new biome called Sandstorm, which we hadn't had a new biome since Era 7. New globals were released like Atlas, Apostolos, Matrix Overdrive, and Aegis. Ragnarocker and Hologrammer were new craftable gauntlets, and for some reason, the biome randomizer was nerfed from a 20-minute cooldown to a 35-minute cooldown. Also, another big thing that happened was, what else did happen? Let me, wait. I think that's it? 2 months and we got probably the most boring era of all time. Now, every era in the past had always reached over 100k active players, but this era was different as less than 70k players came back for this era. And I'm not even surprised as there really wasn't much to offer for the old players to come back. Now, what happened to all the sneak peeks we got for Era 9? Well, they were releasing in Era 9.5. Another thing we should talk about is the introduction of 0.5 updates. Hey, down here, I'm at the house. I'm on top of the house. Come on, zoom in, not too close, not that close. Over a month into Era 8, we had a summer event. But unlike other events, this one was very special as it got a whole era dedicated to it called Era 8.5. New globals were added like Ruins and a limited summer aura called Shard Surfer. We also had new quests for this event that most players finished in a week. You did get the limited Tide Gauntlet and limited Surfer aura when finishing all the quests, and then we just had to wait till Era 9. So realistically, we would see it in a week or two. Right? I mean, we also got a bunch of sneak peeks for Era 9, so surely this era would be worth it in the end. Like, I don't see anything that can go wrong. And that was the plan until it turns out that most of what was shown was set to release on Era 9.5. And to say players were not happy is an understatement as the player count was dropping at an alarming rate. Era 9.5 was also set to be released in the first 2 weeks of Era 9, and 2 weeks later it wasn't out, and as we know, it never happened. The good thing was that devs realized that they should just focus less on 0.5 eras and just worry about Eon 1. Now, Eon 1 was supposed to be the savior of Souls RNG as the game had reached its lowest player count that it has ever seen. And after almost 2 months, we finally had a release date for Eon 1, which it should have been a release date until something ended up happening that the content creators were not happy about. We should talk about when Souls RNG had drama with their content creators. So content creators were the first to know about when Eon 1 was going to release. Now, we didn't get an official release date. We just got the earliest and latest release date for Eon 1 being between October 31st, 2024 and November 3rd, 2024. And content creators were very hyped as they started to stream and stay up hoping they would be the first one to be able to record of Eon 1. We had made it to the latest expected release date and still no Eon 1, and everyone was confused until 53 Axis made a joke saying how they were giving content creators insomnia, and the content creators did not take that lightly. And for good reason too, as some of them stayed up for hours for Eon 1 just for it all to be false hope in the end. And at this point, some of the content creators were already getting fed up. And this was also the time where Souls RNG downfall videos were being made, so this drama started at the worst timing. Now, the good thing was that the devs were smart for at least showing sneak peeks for Eon 1, so the players were at least pretty hyped for Eon 1. And now all that was left was to see when Eon 1 would actually be released, and we would only have to wait another week. On November 10, 2024, Eon 1 was finally released. Now, in the beginning, Eon 1 was looking very promising. There was a new parkour layout for basic blessing. 4-leaf clovers were added that gave you 4 minutes of 40% extra luck. Jake's Workshop now lets you craft Star Shaper and Dark Shader gauntlets. A new mountain where if you manage to climb to the top, you'll find a cup where you can offer an item for each biome at a time to increase your luck boost. The small house also had a texture change and now looks a lot better than it used to. Stella's Cave also got a redesign and now you can craft a new potion called the War Potion. And in general, the cave got a new redesign to make it a lot bigger and better, and the only way you can get a Cellar Star now is from the cave. And a fun little Easter egg is if you use Hypervolt in this room, for some reason it shows the Abomination title image but just in a different color. And just like that, Souls RNG managed to save their game, and now it was time for the game to heal. Is what I would say until the biggest bug in Souls RNG was found. Alright, to your right this time. I'm in your right, cameraman, I'm in your right, okay. Zoom in now, zoom in slowly, okay, zoom in, are you not, okay, You didn't even try. Now, this bug wasn't some high jump or out of the map bug. This was an infinite heavenly 2 and oblivion potion bug. Now, I'm not gonna explain how players managed to do it, but I'll just say this was abused by so many players at so little time that when it was finally fixed, it was already too late. And the amount of globals, memories, and oblivions that were found with this bug was to the point where 54XYZ had finally made a statement about the issue. Just woke up with the sword throw, but anything for content. Now, before that, 53 Axis said how due to this bug, they would have to roll back data. For those who don't know what this means, well, it would basically make it to where all the progress you made in the start of Eon 1 will be reset back to how it was before. 3 days later, 54XYZ would make a poll to see what players would want to see as the roll reset. From all the options, players favorited the third option than all the other ones. What this option would do was that you would only keep any aura that you got raw, meaning anything from a heavenly 1, 2, or oblivion potion will be deleted. All crafting progress, coins collected, and daily quests would still stay the same. And any heavenly or oblivion potions you had before Eon 1 would be restored, including from any innovator packs you bought. So all they had to do was start the reset and we would have a new Eon 1 experience. And in the end, the question was, when would the reset happen? And it would end up being a lot more complicated. But then it turned out that the reset was not going to happen. Souls RNG is shut down right now, so I'm going to reuse the background. After the first response from 53 Axes, we all waited and saved our potions for the reset. Now, even though it was taking a while, 54XYZ was being very active, saying how they were making good progress, so it was seeming like everything was going to end up great in the end. But then a few days later, we would get an announcement, and it wasn't at all what players were expecting. 54XYZ would make an announcement about how they were going to cancel the rollback. The thing that players were waiting for and being told not to pop their heavenly potions or oblivion potions ended up being not possible. Now, the reason why the rollback couldn't be done was because restoring even one person's data used up most of the game's data budget, and since Roblox support hadn't responded, they just had to move forward with the update. Now, even though this was bad news, we did end up getting a second re-up pack that players were able to purchase for a second time, which most players got for free. So after all this, what more can we say about Souls RNG? The game has obviously had a lot of issues recently, and me personally, I think that there has to be some changes made for this game to be the best that it could be. Like when developers say a certain release date without being 100% sure. We saw what happened with Eon 1 and the drama they caused by the false release time, and joking about it just added more gas to the flame. Arrows also need to be worth how long it took to make, and a huge example was with Era 9, and how most of the sneak peeks we saw were for Era 9.5, and 9.5 didn't even happen and were added way in the future in Eon 1. And that's probably why Souls RNG went down to its lowest player count that it has ever seen. And with Eon 1 excluding all the bugs has helped the game reach back to its original player count. So hopefully going forward, the developers will take full advantage and will release amazing Eons in the future. The communication with their player base also needs to be addressed, as the players rarely get any information about what's going on with the game's progress. But they have been doing better with letting players know about the rollback, which is a great step, but from the past of the developers being silent and rarely showing any progress, hopefully this streak doesn't end. Now, I already talked about how they need to stop giving out false release dates to any update, but another big thing is about the game testing, because I can't just ignore how insane that glitch was. Not to mention that they delayed Eon 1 for an extra week because of testing, and this somehow still ended up happening. But it looks like they are now going to do nothing but improve their game going forward, and hopefully in the future state of Souls RNG we end up having nothing but amazing Eons and updates, and I don't see anything wrong that can happen now. There's no fucking way.